Okay, so in this project what we're going to do is we're going to use the Soundcraft board for its microphone preamps to record into Pro Tools through the microphone pre's in the Soundcraft. Alright, so I'm over here now at the patch panel on the left side of the window. This is where we usually patch in the headphone mix coming out of the headphone feed jack right there. But you'll notice there's a row of XLR jacks here labeled Soundcraft Console Mic Inputs, and they're numbered 1 through 8 starting at the top. These are directly wired into the mic preamps on the Soundcraft board, so we can plug our mics into here and go right into the Soundcraft. Now, why would we want to do this? Well, a couple of reasons. We might want to use the sound of the mic pre's in the Soundcraft board versus the higher end, more pristine kind of sound we get out of the high-end preamps. Might be looking for sort of a vintage sound, or we could use maybe more than 8 inputs. Sometimes we want to record a lot of individual drum tracks plus other instruments, and we're going to run out of tracks with just 8 inputs over on the other side of the window. So we can augment the 8 high-end mic pre's with these 8 extra inputs through the Soundcraft. So there's a couple of different reasons why you'd want to do it, for the sound or the aesthetics or for practical reasons. So what we're going to do is we're going to plug our microphone input into channel 1 of the Soundcraft board. This is going to go into the first channel strip, the one on the far left side of the Soundcraft board, and they're labeled 1 through 8, which will be the first 8 channel strips in the Soundcraft board. Okay, so here we are at the Soundcraft board. Remember that you need to turn it on. Go around the back down by the floor, follow that light gray cable down to the power supply box, turn the power switch on, and remember to turn it off when you're done with your session, because we don't want to leave the power supply on. It's very easy to forget it. I'm probably going to put up a sign to remind everybody. So here we are on the Soundcraft board. We're plugged into the very first channel strip, the one labeled number 1 over here on the far left. So our signal is coming into this channel strip, and it's going to go through the trim, through the EQ, and back out to Pro Tools. We're not actually going to be using the fader or any of this stuff for this particular project. So at this point we just want to make check and make sure we got signal. So talking to your mic, turn the trim way up, check 1, 2. You should see the peak light come on. That's meaning it's too loud, but we know we at least have signal. Check. So I'm going to turn it back down. We know we've got signal coming into the Soundcraft board. So the next step that we need to do, after we've verified that we have signal coming into the Soundcraft board, is to make sure that we're going to have signal going into the Avid interface so that we can get into Pro Tools. Now this is a really great project to start with, because we don't actually have to really do any patching to make this work. But I will show you real quick a little bit about the patch panel, just so you know what's happening. So we have here the Soundcraft mic pre-ins. These are the 8 inputs that we are also mirrored over at the left-hand side of the window in that patch panel. You can interrupt those by plugging into here, but they are what's called normaled, meaning that they normally go through the patch panel and then over into Soundcraft without having to do anything. So number 1 mic pre is the one that's labeled number 1 over on the panel on the wall. So it's normally going straight into the mic preamp, so we don't have to patch anything to do that. Direct out is the wire at the top of each channel strip that comes directly out of that channel strip without going through the Soundcraft mix bus. So that is also normaled into the Avid inputs. So really what's happening is we're taking the mic pre input from the patch panel, going into the Soundcraft, taking a direct out from the Soundcraft, and going into the Avid inputs number 9 through 16. You can verify that that's happening automatically or by normaling. You don't have to patch anything, but that's what's happening here. It's all normaled. In other words, when the studio was built, when Darren put these patch bays in, he set it up so that that was the standard use for those inputs on that panel on the left hand side of the window. You can verify that's happening by looking down a little in the box. You can see the Avid audio interface here. The inputs are the top row, and the outputs, as it's labeled, are the bottom row, and they're numbered 1 through 16. And as I talk into the mic, you can see that channel 9 of the audio interface is getting signal. So that's the way it's wired in. So this is channel 9 right here. This is 1 through 8, the ones that we normally use with the high-end pre's just above it in the rack. So we're going into 9 by normalization, and we don't have to actually patch anything. But we need to know which input the Soundcraft is connected to, because when we build our session, we need to select the correct input for the channel strip. So now we'll go to Pro Tools and build our session. So I'm going to go in. I already have Pro Tools running. I'm going to do a Command N for new, 44.1 sampling rate, 32-bit float, broadcast wave file. And I'm going to save it just in my folder here. I'm going to call it Soundcraft Mic Pre's. Not mice, mic. Little mice pre's. And in this class we're going to be building a lot of our own sessions, so I'm going to walk you through real quick how to build this instead of use a template. So we're going to need a couple of tracks. We need an input track for our mic, so we're going to go Command Shift N. We're going to make one mono audio track, and then do it one more time. Command Shift N, do one stereo master. The next thing to do here is to set the input of the recording track so that we can connect to the Soundcraft board. And you remember when we've been using the high-end preamps over in our rack, we would choose 1 through 8. Remember the ATIs 5, 6, 7, 8, the Trues 3 and 4, and the Vintex 1 and 2, remember? So it's hardwired in through the normalizing on the patch bay, as I showed you over there on the interface, that when I was talking into the mic, input 9 was showing level. So the first channel strip of the Soundcraft board is number 9. So we have our 8 inputs from the Soundcraft board, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So I'm plugged into the very left-hand channel strip, number 1. So that's going to be number 9. So now if I put this into record, and I pick up my mic, I'll start to see some level. And the next thing we should do is go over to the Soundcraft board and set our level, just like we did when we were setting levels on the high-end pre's in the rack. So I'm over here at the Soundcraft board. We're on the first channel strip here, and we're going to use this red trim pot up here at the very top to control the level, or the amount of signal that's going into the interface. So I'm just going to zoom in here so we can see it. So watching the level on the screen in Pro Tools, I'm going to reach over and turn the trim up and down so that I get a good signal that doesn't like go crazy. Check 1, 2. So these SM57s are not real hot, so I can turn this up pretty far. The other thing you can do in the Soundcraft that we can't do on any of the preamps is we have 4-band fixed EQ. So if you want to add a little high end or a little bottom or roll off a little bottom on the record side, you can do that here with these 4 fixed band EQs. Remember though that you're actually recording that, so you can't take it away. Okay, so that's it. That's using the Soundcraft board as a mic pre. It has either additional inputs beyond the 8 from the standard high-end mic pre's, or using the Soundcraft for its unique vintage sound. So have fun with it. It's really not hard to do at all. See you. Bye.